Stand in front of the TV.
They are coming.
You see me?
Oh, with the lights, right?
Yeah.
No, no, I'm not seeing you.
Oh, I even think that. One of the Fridays.
It's good?
That was good. That was, yeah, we should move that way a little bit. Thanks, dude. All right, we're good.
We're good?
I was like, you've never done that before.
Just right there. Yeah, what's up?
Hey guys, we're gonna start in 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. How you doing? I'm Jen, nice to meet you. Sarah? Who are you under? Kelvin? Bristol.
He's watching online today because he has somebody's kid. Brother's kid.
Text him right now and be like, hey, Jen asked about you.
Yes.
Say the same things for mom.
Yeah. Hey, Jen.
Great.
Yeah, hey, I noticed you're not here. Are you watching online? You might be in North Carolina, actually.
This is an outrage. This is about. This is absurd.
Yeah, we're about to start. What's up?
Oh, I got a mic. Where do I put this?
Not too close to
I'd be like Beyonce.
Well, how much coverage is it?
Has anybody ever been to a Beyonce concert?
How much coverage is it?
None of you guys? Oh, yeah.
I saw it on YouTube.
Okay, yeah, try to now.
She was actually in my dreams. Okay?
No,
All right.
They're always gonna check out. They always do.
All right, guys.
Free dream work.
They always do when you do it.
All right, guys. Good morning.
Good morning. Anytime you add coverage, you have to do it.
So, Shaq is not gonna be here because luckily he's with Bruce this morning. What a better place to be at, right? But because he's earned the right to be with Bruce and obviously have time with Bruce, and Bruce is talking about much bigger things to him since he's at that level. Hey guys, morning. And so Samir will actually be coming in the next 15 minutes. So I got asked to get us started this morning, and we're going to be talking about closing the KT. Good stuff to know? All right, because you can present, you can be a great presenter, but at the end of the day, this is not social services, this is financial services. And you still have to make money, right? We operate seemingly like a nonprofit because we love what we do. Some of us would do this for free, but we still have to pay our bills, feed our family, and of course, get to our goals as well. So let's get to it. So who is reading a book right now? Self-development book, not textbook, not school book, not economics, okay? Okay, hands up, hands up, hands up. Okay, these are all the people that are always actively on the Telegram. These are people that are always hitting the board. That's crazy, right? If you looked around the room, raise your hand again, who's reading a book? Right. If you look around the room, the people that are reading, those are the people that are normally really active, no matter what. And everybody has things going on in life, right? So you can still close a KT no matter if you're going on. And you can still be in a KT and do activity no matter what you're going through in life. But once you get to the KT, how do you close? You got to be in the right mindset. And before you can step into that KT with the right mindset, you have to have the right things go into your brain, right? Can they hear me on the YouTube? This is cool. Okay. So the person who trained me, we pushed him to RVP. I was a replacement, and the one training or drill first skill consistent training that he did that made a huge impact with our team under him was going through the book How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins. Now, we know everybody for the most part in this room came in here to build a business to be able to be free in somewhat way. So obviously we don't want to focus just on KT, so we want to focus on building through people and teaching others and duplicating our skills into other people so they can fend for themselves. But if you can't teach somebody what you don't know, you can't give what you don't have, and so you can't sell what you don't own. But you have to know, you have to read on really how to get their skill sets because your skills pays the bills. So How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins is one of the #1 books that I would highly suggest you read. It's pretty technical if you're used to motivational books. It's not a motivational book, but if you go through it, it's not good enough to read through it. You have to do the exercises in it, or else you're not going to be good at closing, okay? I'm not able to stress enough how many techniques there are in there that are not pushy and they're not traditional kiosk sales or people at the mall are like, hey, Reese, let me curl your hair and I'll turn you into a fairy, over 30 seconds, right? We're not those type of sales. We are professional. We don't push. We get people to get onto our side, but they make their own decisions, and that's because Ricardo went over the How to Master the Art of Selling with us, and you got to do the exercises. So if you haven't gotten that book, get it. It's better to get it in person. So in the KT, the presentation can be really great, but if you don't know how to open the right way, building rapport, making sure you set the expectations, you won't be able to close the right way. Because most of the appointments that really build our team production on a bigger scale are going to be what type of appointments? Qualified, right? But also field training appointments, right? You can go on personal appointments all day long, but a lot of people that are big personal producers, they go up and down, up and down. They have good months, bad months, because one person can go over things in life, and one person may not be as consistent. But if you have a whole team, you never know, but 20% of that team is always going to produce 80% of the production. 20% do 80% of the work, 80% do 20% of the work. And all of us in this room are the 20%ers, so proud of you guys for getting here. So when you open up, I'm not going to go over that, but once you open the right way, it's easier to close because now they know, hey, you are coming here to train Shondell or Val or Alex, but you're trying to close me on something or get me started on something, an application of somewhat, in this case, life premium, life insurance, get me to apply. I should expect that close to come if there's a need because you already told me, you, the trainer, already told me that if there's value I see, then you would love to earn my business. Is that right? So if you said it right the first time, you will be able to close much more easier because they are expecting that to happen if they see value. Make sense? All right, so once you get to the dime, okay? You get to the dime, you run your numbers, you don't show the numbers to the client, you have the recruit go over their referrals, and then you get to the triplicate of choice showing them, right, the 3 quotes. They choose their quote. Now they've just committed in their brain, hey, instead of 93, 83, 70, whatever it is, the quotes you're giving them, they pick the $93 one. Perfect. Now what do you do? So Reese, what do you do?
You just go ahead and go through the qualifications.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Like the qualification, like timeline. They
Okay, what is that called?
The close. Well, qualification time. That's
Are you asking me? I'm asking you.
I call it the qualification.
What is it called, Val?
Process close.
Yeah.
There you go. Good save. Good save. Good save, right? Good save. Yeah. I'm not your direct upline. That was just joking. So, all right. So this is the qualification timeline. It's also known as the process close. Okay. So if you actually, if I can, and show here, if you go into here, for those of you guys who haven't gone through your whole presentation and don't know what the process close is, before I go into it, there's a secret I would like to tell you. You guys know what the secret is?
Yes.
Where you see notes?
Yes.
Boom. It's all there. You don't need to ask your trainer to go over with you, right? You just have to do, I was explaining to Jenny yesterday, because she does a great job practicing on her own, the presentation, and so that way I can make bigger adjustments, help her make bigger adjustments that are not as basic as learning the script, right? She can read, she can do that. Like a 6-year-old child, you're not gonna teach them how to go to the bathroom. They already know how to go to the bathroom, right? You can teach a 2-year-old that, but you don't have to teach a 6-year-old that, hopefully not. They should have learned by then, right? So there are basic things like Jenny should know how to read by now, right? Like, I don't need to teach you how to read a script and go over that with you. You can do that on your own. But when you learn the script, you go through the presentation, you go through it on your own, then we get to, in person, me and you, let's go through what you know and let me help you adjust. So it helps your trainer make better adjustments. It helps your trainer help you make better adjustments when you actually do the basic things on your own, so you can get to the next step quicker. Make sense, guys?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we get to the quote. They picked $93. Now it's time to go over the qualification. Or the process close. So this helps you overcome certain objections, because what objections do you normally get when you're going through closing that? What are some? There's only a couple. What objections are you guys getting?
I want to think about it.
I want to think about it. That's a big one, right? That's a big one. What else? There's a bigger one. There's not the money, right? There's only I want to think about it, and there's the money. And sometimes I want to think about it does have to do with the money, right? So I'll give you some techniques that I go through also, but let's say in a perfect world, we go through this and they're not pushing back as much, right? Because most appointments, you set it up, they won't push back as much. If there's a need, you're in a qualified appointment. So Mr. and Mrs. Client, okay, 93, great. I thought you would pick that. So has anybody explained how to qualify for life insurance, the process to you?
Yeah. Wait, no, sorry, no.
No, right? So this is how our process works. So normally I'll read it to you guys. Normally life insurance is not something you can just buy. You have to apply for it. It's just like a loan. If you want to get $1 million loan from Bank of America, they're not just going to give it to you, right? They check your credit. Now, some markets you have to tell them, we don't check your credit. We check your health, right? So unfortunately, life insurance is not something you can buy. It's something you have to qualify for, just like a loan. Just because you want it doesn't mean you get approved for it. The qualification process with us takes approximately 4 to 6 weeks. First, we take an application with a good faith deposit. Okay, not a pay, a deposit. Then we send it out, and then we order your medical visit. Your meds are sent to the lab to be processed, and then the results are then sent to our underwriters. They are the ones that will make a decision and then issue your policy. It's at that time that we make a decision. I don't want you to think we're making a decision right now. I know you need to think about it. So is 4 to 6 weeks enough time for you to think about it? So what Bruce says is, if you tell somebody what they're thinking, now they're paying attention. Because once you start telling people what they're thinking, they're like, oh, this person understands my thought process. If they feel you understand them, they're more likely to move forward. Remember that, right? So if you keep telling people what they're thinking, they're going to move forward more often than not. So they say, yeah, it's enough time. Okay, great. I just need your ID and ask you a few medical questions, right? I just need your ID and ask you a few medical questions. Just like if you're asking for the policy, great. Why don't you grab your policy? This will literally take 2 minutes. This will literally help the meeting go way quicker. Or you're collecting an IVA, right? Great. Let me just get your ID and ask you a couple of criminal background questions, right? Do you get direct deposit? Okay, let me just grab your debit card. We can set up your direct deposit, right? Boom. So you don't ever ask, hey, do you have your ID or anything? I always say, hey, why don't you grab your ID? I just need to ask, and I can ask you a couple medical questions. I don't really ask because now I'm assuming that you're ready to move forward, right? Cool.
Question. What if, because some people, not everyone is, from here. What if they don't have their ID? Can you use their passport or something as a second?
You need a driver's license, so they don't have. You're only asking for the ID because they're more involved when they give you something.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you give me your ID, what am I assuming? Right. But also during the application process, you've gone through the Practice app.
The Practice app.
Oh, you're not appointed yet. Who's gone through the Practice Life app? Who's newly appointed?
Oh, I have not gone through it.
Homework, right? Yeah. So when you go to the Practice app where you know what an app is, they ask for the driver's license number. If they don't have an ID, that's fine, as long as they know their information, okay? But you should get the ID, especially if they have a driver's license, because who knows, you can get declined just from a DUI. Right? If I had a client that had 3 DUIs on her record, single mom, right? Decline straight up, right? I mean, that's a red flag right there. So if they have a driver's license and they have DUI, that's a big issue. So you need to get their driver's license. And if they don't have a driver's license, then of course we're not talking about that. But answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So unfortunately, life insurance is not something that you can just buy. You have to apply for it. Just like a loan. Just because you want $1 million loan, they're not just going to give it to you. The bank's not just going to give it to you. You have to qualify for it. So our process takes generally 4 to 6 weeks. We first start by taking an application with a good faith deposit equal to your first month's premium. I circle it because some people, they act like you didn't explain it to them. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right? Rodney calls or whoever, Alex calls, whoever calls your clients, right? Como se dice, right? We need your money, we need your deposit. Okay, we first take an application with a good faith deposit equal to your first month's premium. Then we send out an order for your medical visit. Okay, this is obviously if you're doing custom advantage. If you don't know what that is, ask your upline who's licensed. Medical visit, and then the lab results are sent to the underwriters. The underwriting department is who makes a decision if they want to issue your policy. It's at that time that we have a decision to make. So I know you need time to think about it, but it's 4 to 6 weeks, enough time for you to think about it while we can see if we can get you medically qualified. Jenny? Is that enough time for you to think about it while we can see if we can get you medically qualified?
Yes.
Great, I just need your ID and ask you a couple medical questions. All right, she goes to get her ID, and then, we can continue doing referrals. All right, so who wants to try this? Keenan. I'm gonna pick on you since you didn't do your like that. In practice mode, right? Keenan is a client, okay, which is good. You don't have to become a client, but the other thing that I forgot to mention, Bruce has a $1 million call with us with a double-digit recruiters every single Tuesday. And one of the main things he was talking about, right, Shondell, is if you're not a client, guess what?
You're not gonna be around.
You're not going to be around very long. It's not that you have to become a client of the company that you represent. It's that if you're trying to offer somebody something, very few times a client is going to try to test you. They're going to ask you what before they commit to anything.
Do you have it?
Do you have it, right? Everybody knows that. So the right answer is what?
Yes.
Yes, it should be, right? I don't care if it's the minimum a month or $100 or $1,000. I don't care what it is. Get something so you can say, I have it. Because if you say no, instant credibility loss, right? You can't even explain to the client, oh, money's tight or this and that, because they can just shoot back the same excuse to you. And then what are you going to do, right? If you can't overcome your own, then how are you going to overcome other people's reasons for not moving forward with you? You want to move forward with yourself, right? So you got to become your own client and become an advocate at some point. If you're not in the market for life insurance, obviously, then there's other services that we can provide because we're not just a life insurance company, and that has to spill out to you, right? Your belief spills out when you believe in your company, and that comes with believing in yourself through taking action, right? Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because life insurance is one part, but the investments is another part. Same thing with investments. When you start saving, you can ask people to save more, right? Shaq took me from $50 a month. He just had me do $1,000 pack for myself. Like from a Section 8 background, imagine that, right? That is a crazy story to tell a client. Like I just told a client the other day, yeah, I used to spend $30 a month a day just like you. Right, just like you. I save $1,000 a month now. I used to spend that, so if I can do it, you can do it. Right? Commitment for $600 a month, right? For a pack. That's cool. But I wasn't able to always get that because I wasn't in that position, right? It was much easier for me to ask for because I did it myself. And it is a stretch. It is uncomfortable. But if you can't overcome that, then yeah. So same thing here. They don't want to put down a deposit. Remember that, right? Yeah. Some markets, you do have to explain that the deposit is just a deposit because sometimes they think they're going to lose that money. That's what I have found, at least from my experience in the field. Is that what you see, Shondell? Mm-hmm. Right. So what do? You explain what?
That you get it. Basically, if it gets approved, it goes towards your first month's premium. If it gets declined, then it comes back to you.
Right. So if between these 4 to 6 weeks, right, if you get declined, we refund that deposit back to you because it's just a deposit, right? If you get approved, you've been covered for that conditionally, that 4 to 6 weeks, and that $93 deposit per se, right, covers your first real month. So you actually have 2 months of coverage with 1 month of premium. Right? I had a client, me and Jenny did a Zoom call yesterday. They're a Latino couple, and they wanted to do the application, just not over Zoom, which is understandable. So we set up a carryback, but she had a lot of different questions. And part of it was, okay, so we want to wait until May. It is March. You do your application right now. It takes 4 to 6 weeks, which goes into what? April, right? I know, because if you're overweight, they're going to take a little bit more time to go through your medicals, right? So it probably will take the 4 to 6 weeks. From experience, me and Chandel, we know that, right? And some of you guys, Tia, Peter, right? We know that. So if you get approved in April, right? That first premium still covers you all the way to what? May. So you actually technically start in May. Let's just take the application, right? So that once you know how to explain that, you can get somebody to move forward, right? What's another objection that we get in the field?
Research.
Research.
Yeah, I think Shaq went over that
last week.
Right? Yeah, he went over that last week. Bao and I got that immediately, and you just got to read Tom Hopkins. When you read Tom Hopkins, you don't want to ask if it's the money up front. Most 99% of the time it's going to be the money. So, hey, before I commit to Mr. and Mrs. Client said, hey, Chanel, or hey, Reese, or hey, Cheryl, or hey, Malik, I want to do my research before I do anything, commit to anything.
Yeah.
Okay. You can always hit them with, would you rather do research with the coverage or without the coverage? But that's a little bit, starter position, right? I used to ask that. You can ask that. It is a partial close. And remember, every close takes at least 5 touches to close, okay? If you try 3 times over the kitchen table, different ways to ask for the close, and they push back, okay, you can set a second appointment, okay? In most cases. But if you're trying one time and you don't get the yes, try again and try again. Try to ask 3 different times. You won't know how to ask for it unless you're reading and working on your skills. But hey, so would you rather think about it with the coverage or without the conditional coverage? Right, you can do that. But research is what? What do you need to research about? So I like to close my tablet first, and I say, hey, I really appreciate Val and Alex that you say you wanted to research. I definitely think you should research. I don't think you should really commit long-term to anything without researching something. I'll be the same way too. I understand how you feel. What I'm looking at is a couple that's really responsible, and you have no coverage. And hopefully you can understand where I'm coming from. But if you don't mind me asking, normally people that do say they want to research, there's a lot of moving parts there. So if I may ask, so I can, if I'm not going, so that I'm not going crazy and I know exactly what you're looking for, and I can also help you on my end, what exactly would you be researching for? Val?
Things about the company.
Okay, like what?
I'm not sure. Yeah, just stuff about the company.
Okay, well, I mean, that means we could research like the company name, you could research the company founding, you could research the company founder. What would you be looking for?
Other clients' experience.
Okay, awesome. So that's really awesome. Anything else?
If the benefits are there, are true.
Okay, great. All right, awesome. So I definitely think you should research that. Now, if I may just throw a suggestion out, if it's okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're aware of how the financial industry works, but unfortunately, we're not able to disclose other clients' experiences because it is confidential. But I do have a couple of client testimonies, and I can call any one of my clients. I have over 200, and we can call any one of my clients, and then they can tell you their experience, and that's from real life. So if we did that on top of you doing your own research, would that help you?
Sure.
Right now, before we leave here and set up a time to come back, what else do you need to think about? Is it me at all? Did I do anything wrong?
No.
Okay, so it's just the company.
Yeah.
Okay, what about like the coverage? Is the coverage amount sufficient for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, what about the amount, the premium? Okay, and then you just level down with them, right? If you could just level with me, it could also be, just a deposit right now. Okay, so, and then you just go forward and you just repeat the process close, right? Just repeat the process close and explain to them that that application is, at the end of the day, just because they apply, are they gonna get approved? No, right? That's exactly what happened yesterday. The lady said, the husband wanted to move forward, but the wife said, hey, before we establish all the other closes, right? She explained, she said, well, if we're not able to pay it in the next 3 months, right? Then what happens, right? I said, well, I'm not able to really answer that because we don't know if you can get approved, right? Because you're asking that question assuming you would get approved. Is that right? She said, yeah. And I said, unfortunately, I'm not even able to tell you you're going to get approved because some of our clients, 33%, they do get declined because we take our time to approve people. If we say yes, there's no stipulations. So what I'm saying is not to decide to get a life app because we can't get a life app. I'm just saying right now you guys have no coverage. If you have no coverage and something happens to you tomorrow, how would you feel if your family couldn't feed themselves? Right? And you just go through it again.
Sorry, you said
What
32%?
percentage? Yeah.
Hmm?
What percentage?
33%.
33.
Yeah, that was like a couple years ago. I think Samir came up or Shaq came up. Somebody said that. It might be more or less now, but at least a third get declined. I mean, how many declinations do you get? You know?
That happens, yeah.
I mean, it's not a lot, but you know, if you know what you're doing, then people get approved and you're in the qualified market, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, qualified market. Less declinations in the qualified market.
Right.
I want to stress that, okay? All right, my time is up, you guys. Did that help? Sure? All right, cool, awesome. Read your script, practice your skills, and let's bring up Samir Qureshi.
All right, guys, so to be honest, Shaq, I think his wife got sick, and then he called me, and he told me this morning at 8:30, but then Bruce had us on a conference call to discuss everything that's kind of going on with the company, and that's why, you know, I was late and I just got in. So I want to do, I'm not going to have a recording of this because I'm not properly prepared, but I want to do some question and answer. You guys can, you know, it will be a good training because it'll be more so what's on your guys' mind, what you're actually seeing, and then I'll give you my, you know, whatever expert advice that I can potentially give you. But just as an idea of what's going on right now, the company as a company, Primerica is going to go pretty much virtual. Okay, so they're calling Zoom. Did Shaq already tell everybody all this?
Nope.
Right now,
He mentioned.
he mentioned it. So they're calling Zoom. They're in talks with Zoom right now to be able to get us a package where instead of paying $15 a month, I don't know what that fee is going to be. Maybe it's a one-time. Maybe Primerica is going to pay the whole thing. But you know, we want to stay ahead of this because, you know, I personally have a lot of money in the market, and then, you know, I manage a pretty large book of investments as well. I have to also stay ahead. I have to watch and listen to certain things to see. So one of the measures that the government is potentially going to take is everyone's going to get a 2-week holiday, okay? Which means that whatever you're going to get paid, there's a possibility that they're just going to give you a check, and because they want everyone to just isolate themselves so that this thing doesn't spread. Now, I'm not saying there's two different, you know, schools of thought that this is a big deal, that this isn't a big deal, that this is real, that this is fake. I'm not taking any sides. I'm just telling you that this is the stuff that people are saying. And I was explaining to Josh that, you know, you can't, in the end, we all run our own business and we're soldiers and you know, we show up no matter what. I've driven in snowstorms to be at a, you know, fast start school and all that. But in the end, Primerica Financial Services is a corporation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they have to make corporate decisions because we're publicly traded and we have liability and we can be in the news. And if people die or people get sick, or if we break the rules and we have big meetings when we're not supposed to, that liability, like if no one's going to sue Peter, what they're going to do is they're going to say, oh, Peter's backed by $1 billion company, we're suing that company, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to take corporate measures, and this is like a corporate thing that we have to do, just like any company is doing, okay? But lucky for us, we've kind of been ahead of this, mm-hmm. and a lot of us have been using Zoom, right? Bruce had me talk on the RVP call this morning about Zoom. Zoom, we've all been using it for a very long time, but a friend of mine who works at a wealth management firm and he's very successful, he told me that 90% of their clients are seen on Zoom. Cold prospects, cold appointments. And he said, make no mistake about it, these are $250,000 and up clients. And they prefer to meet me on Zoom, right? They don't want me to come to their house, like sometimes we insist, right? So this may not, the lasting implications of this are not even like, oh, everything will go back to normal. When there's such a dramatic change, the world will literally be different, right? The social distancing thing, whatever they call it, that might actually be a thing. We may not be shaking hands anymore, right? We may not be doing certain things. You may not want to be in people's space, and we're going to have to learn these things so we don't come across as insensitive or like we don't know what the hell is going on, right? And then this whole thing about telecommuting and you know, people are now being encouraged to see their doctors over Zoom. So this may become a part of life now, right? And so you may want to kind of throw that out there with people, like if you know, if you feel more comfortable, we can just do a Zoom. And I had to really think about the power of this if we really, because in the beginning it was like, oh, am I just trying to get out of driving there or seeing the person? Am I being lazy? You know, but now that we have to do it, we can actually, there is a lot of selling points.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if I can now hire you, it doesn't matter what state you're in, because we were never going to be in the same room anyways. Right? So you can be in Minnesota, I can be here, I can hire you, I don't have to send you to a different office, I can field train you. Does that make sense? And even if you are meeting with someone in their home, you can put me right here. Guess what? I'm here too. And this is going to become normal. Like you're sitting there, I am inside of this, sitting here, clients over here, but this stuff is all going to become normal now to some extent, right? And the other thing is, in my opinion, with the whole virtual meeting, if I hire you, right, and I say, I need to do your orientation, I need to take you out in the field, I need to do an appointment session with you, and we do it over Zoom, it's an impossibility that somebody doesn't have time for that, okay? Because when someone says that, this guy's like, why are they having a group meeting? If somebody says that, if someone says, you know, hey, I don't have time to meet you tomorrow, like, let's say I hire Morgan and she's just like, Samir, I don't have time to meet you tomorrow. The reason why she doesn't have time is because she's taking into consideration, I have to get dressed to go to that office. I have to drive to that office. I have to stay at that office. I have to come back from that office. And I'm allotting for something that would only be 20 minutes, I have to allot an hour and a half, right? Or an hour to 3 hours or whatever. But now it's like, if I can send you a link and all you can be in your freaking underwear below, waist below. How do you not? So now we're going to really see who has time and who doesn't have time. How does a client not have time to sit in their living room? They don't have to have anyone over. They don't have to clean up the house. They don't have to cook for us. They don't have to do any of that stuff. And we're asking for 30 to 40 minutes of their time with their spouse. It can be any time of day. And I think that this is becoming a huge asset to us.
Do we have a date yet of when the next big event is going to be?
I mean, they're just pushing it to the next one, which was May anyways. What is it, 29 and 30, 30, 31? Yeah, so the next Fast Start School, which was the end of May, we're just going to that one now, right? So it's not that we, you know, we're going to do this one at a different time. We're just skipping it and we're going to the next one because it was only 2.5 months later anyways, or 3 months or whatever.
So with everything going virtual and we're meeting potential clients in different states, how's that going to work with licensing?
I mean, to get a non-resident license, what I was thinking about was, you know, the technical legal answer is if you are doing business with someone in that state, you are supposed to have a license non-resident from that state, okay? If you look up Sheila's thing, I mean, she's licensed, I think, 10 states now. Wow. So even if she gets 1 or 2 apps, she wants that license because it's just money, right? If I can pay $80 and I can be licensed in that state, then she likes to tell people I'm licensed in your state. And that's sort of like a sales pitch of hers to get referrals from other people, you know, but that's just a money thing. You can get a license in any state.
Just like with Jen's and Jenny's client, what about giving information over the phone and how sensitive that might be?
And what do you mean?
Like, how would you overcome that? If we're doing a Zoom and they don't want to give you like their account or route or social over the phone?
Mm-hmm. I think there's a share screen method where they can just plug it in themselves.
Yeah.
They don't even have to say it out loud.
They can plug it in.
Yeah, it's remote. It's called remote control. So you share. They have to be on a desktop or Mac, and so you share the screen with them, and they literally can like control the mouse and the keyboard and everything.
Yeah, they can sign the app legally. They can put everything in. They can put in their credit card for an IBA. They can put in their account number for it. I mean, billion-dollar companies are using this. So it's not like the Primerica app, right? It's $1 billion. And if it goes into the Primerica app, right? Because some apps do have a video conferencing tool built into it. It's still Zoom. It's just been embedded by the corporation into the software. So it's still Zoom either way.
So say if I have a virtual KT set up and for whatever reason they can't get on Zoom, they can't download it, whatever, would FaceTime also be an option or some other video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think it's pretty much the same thing. The difference is that not everybody has an Apple to FaceTime. And then FaceTime is not as presentation friendly in the sense that you're not bringing up, slides and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why. But in the end, it's still, if you're just having a conversation with somebody, yeah, it's the same thing.
Is this going to affect our Saturday morning meeting going forward?
That's actually a good question. As of now, no, but I don't know. We don't know how fast things are going to accelerate. Like if you look at the rate of acceleration, the curve is very high. So it's almost like, 3 days from now, are they going to ground all airplanes? Are we going to be all locked up in our apartments? I don't know.
It was like 2,000 from a flight to Europe to here.
I think he means the people who want to get out of Europe and come back with a van.
My friend's flight just got canceled.
Just to touch on that, I've been talking with Shaq. Now, obviously, everyone take their own personal health into account, but from now on, even Saturdays, we'll be live on YouTube. So if you don't feel comfortable, you got a little cough, you got to stay home, everything will be live. So everything will still be available if you're not able to go.
Yeah, because you got to remember, man, that it's not, we've been indoctrinated with a certain mindset, but, if I hire, Alex tomorrow, he's not coming in with the Primerica mindset. He's coming in with the news, Fox News, CNN, what his parents told him, everybody at school, my college was canceled, work is telling me to work from home, yet you're bringing me into a room with, 100 people that I don't know. We have to understand that. And that's why we're offering these different things, because we don't want to lose people because we don't necessarily follow all the norms, Okay, I think that's enough time on this. Anything else regarding that?
One more question. Should we still call and do interviews in the office and everything? Moving forward and everything?
You should. You should. I just think that person, maybe you want to give them that option of whether they want to come to the office or meet on Zoom. All right, guys, what are we dealing with? What questions do we have? What challenges, what products are we seeing? You guys came out here and I appreciate it. We're gonna try to make it the best. Yes.
Yeah, so when it comes to, this is more like a securities question, just to be competent in the field. We talked over the phone about their life insurance product, which I can look up myself, but on the security side of things, how does American Funds compete with Charles Schwab? Like, from your experience and what you've seen, like, do you ever have, like, what do you say? What's the competitive edge?
Sometimes when people have specific companies, you can do a comparison based on most companies and us, and you can kind of generalize that company in a bucket with others. And then if you happen to know, rare chance, but if you happen to know the specifics of that brokerage and what you do and don't like about them, then you can bring that stuff up. But in general, a brokerage like Charles Schwab or any other financial brokerage that you're doing business with is going to have minimum requirements. They're going to tack on 1 to 1.5% fee on your account for the management of that account, in addition to the normal fees, right? So in addition to the normal fees that you're paying, you're going to be paying an extra 1 to 1.5% just because of the name, right? So what we offer is personal service, a full-fledged financial menu of everything that you need, but you're not going to have to pay that 1 to 1.5%. I was having this conversation. I had a big securities appointment the other day, and this was a retired firefighter. He was retiring in a couple of days. So he and his wife wanted to retire. He was 60 years old. And I said, who else have you met with? Now, instead of Charles Schwab, he said Edelman, okay? If you've been in the business as long as me, you know that Edelman is on the radio. He has books and people love him. And because he's from this area, he's famous in this area, mostly from older people who listen to him on the radio. So I know Edelman, right? I know that Edelman likes whole life, and I know that Edelman charges 2%, and I know that Edelman usually has a $250,000 minimum on their initial investment, okay? But even if I didn't know Edelman, right, the point is I told that guy, I said, yeah, I mean, you can go to Edelman, you can go to their firm. It's one guy's name, but the rest, you're not sitting with that guy, right? I said, you can go to Edelman's firm. Usually they pay 2%. He was like, I don't think it was that high. I said, okay, 1.5%. He goes, yeah, maybe something like that. I mean, it's nothing. I just figure it's nothing. I said, you think 1.5% is nothing? And he was like, I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot. And this is a firefighter. He's never had a financial advisor or whatever. And I said, you said you've owned 4 homes in your life, right? And he goes, yeah. And I said, so you've been through the mortgage and refinance process many times? He said, yeah. And I said, what if I told you that I'm the best loan officer, I'm the best mortgage broker, I'm with the best company, I'm going to give you the best customer service. So instead of your interest rate being 3, mine charges 4.5% on your mortgage. Would you go with me? He goes, hell no, that's crazy for someone to pay 4.5 when they can get 3. And I said, so when it comes to debt, you want to pay less, but when it comes to investments, you're not as aggressive about getting more. I said, in reality, it's the exact same thing. The fee is compounding against you in the investment, just like the interest is compounding against you in the mortgage. Does that make sense? Yeah. And I said, just like I said, look at people right now with rates bottoming out, they're refinancing for 0.5%, for 0.25%, for 0.75%. And sometimes when it comes to investments, we're just walking away from a 1.5% difference. The way that it's a 1.5% difference is that exact same portfolio that they can create. I can create that portfolio. You still get me and my cell phone number, but you don't have to pay the 1.5%. So if we have the same exact product, but you don't have to pay the 1.5%, then technically I'm guaranteeing you an additional 1.5% on your return. And he goes, wow, I never thought of it like that, right? So that's the main thing, is paying that advisor fee. We learned in a seminar a few weeks ago, they said that, and this is a good one. See, this is what I was good at, because I knew what to take notes on and what to remember and what to immediately start repeating to everybody when I go to a meeting. So I can sit in a meeting for an hour and I hear a lot of things, but I know, okay, that's a good one, right? And this is one of those things. So what the guy said was, he goes, based on our analysis, if someone who's saving for retirement can achieve a 1% higher rate of return on their way to retirement, that 1% higher rate of return will give them an extra 10 years of spending on the back end. So what does that mean? Once I have my $1 million, I got to spend it down, right? But it can potentially run out. He's saying that from the age of 35 to 60, if you had just achieved a 1% higher rate of return than what you're currently getting, that's going to tack on an extra 10 years of spending in case you live until 95, 100 years old. Right? So these are things that we want to talk about. These fees are excessive, they're high, right? And so if you can get the same thing with us, now how can I give you the same thing but charge you nothing, right? The people always ask, how do you make money? The fund companies pay us directly. That's all you have to say. the fund companies pay us directly, the client doesn't have to pay us. And yes, we make a little bit less, but that's okay because of the structure of our company, we run more volume, we get more clients.
So real quick, just for the language, you say, so you would look out for your benefit when it comes to debt, but you wouldn't do that when it comes to the opposite, like returns, like, just, can you repeat that one?
So when it comes to a mortgage, we're always going to chase what did I say? I have a problem repeating things after I say
You
it.
said you own 4 floors, right? What if I told you I'm the best mortgage broker, best customer service, best everything? Instead of your interest rate being 3%, it would be 4.5%. Would you go with me? But when it comes to, it's funny when it comes to your debt, you're always trying to pay less. But when it comes to getting more, you're more for your money. You're not as aggressive.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I love business tickets. All right, what else? You've already had your 3, man.
I just wanted to get your thoughts, like what kind of dialogue you may have with this kind of person. A young client since last year, he's been maxing out his Roth IRA, $500 a month. And I just noticed that, I think about 2 days ago, he went online himself. He was invested entirely in the Growth Fund of America. He must have gone online himself and he reduced it from 500 to 100. So, I know he's worried about things in general.
Did he tell you that, or you're just?
I saw it online through the American Funds client dashboard. So I'm just assuming that's maybe why he did. Maybe he's getting less pay at work. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah.
But like, what kind of dialogue would you have about, hey, either, you have a couple different options rather than just reducing your monthly contribution so drastically. One, you're either able to now purchase more shares as they're going down through.
Yeah, I would say, listen, how old are you? How old is the guy?
Mid-20s.
Okay, so you're in your mid-20s, and when are you gonna retire? Okay, so you're here, and you're not gonna retire until here, okay? So the market is going to go up and down. You're investing money. Is it better to invest when the market is here or when the market is here? Right? When do you go to the store? You go to the store when you hear, do they ever say, hey, everything's on full price, come in? And that's when you go in? No, you go in when things are on sale. So it's amazing how we're conditioned to buy everything on sale in the regular world, but when stocks are on sale, we don't want to put money in, right? Your money is getting 30% more as of today per deposit. That means the return you're going to get on these deposits, this 500 going in now, in the next several years, right, and way down the line, it's going to be a lot more money. It's dollar cost averaging. It's long term. But Rufy, look, I'm not one of those people. I think we both know you're not a huge client to me, right? Because but I'm not in this to only help huge clients. I want you to become a huge client. And I like to have a relationship with people where they call me before they do these things. Now, it's your money and you can do whatever you want, but I just want to have a conversation with you. I'm never going to talk you out of it, but the whole point of having me is you can get my take on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you right now, I would have liked to see it go from 500 to 1,000, right? Or maybe you calling me and going into, asking about going into different investments, because that's what actually most people that are financially aware are doing right now, so you got to have that conversation with people. I don't like people circumventing me. It's very rare that happens because I keep up with my clients, right? They don't hear from me from a long time. Yeah, they can do something like that, but I want to be involved in your redemptions, in changes like that. That's what I'm here for. Hey man, I don't want you to have to call customer service. Call me, right? Call me.
And just like a quick follow-up, what about the strategy of people, okay, in the meanwhile, moving it from a growth or aggressive growth fund into a bond fund, so as the market's going down, it only
okay,
goes
number
down.
one, the market has already gone down.
Right.
So now we're all in it. I was just on a phone call on the way here, and the lady said, maybe for now, I should get out of the funds and just kind of sit out. And, a lot of people do think this. And I said, well, as of today, our money's already down 25%. So this is a good conversation to be having with people is you don't lose, okay? If I own 10 homes and the housing market goes down, and they go from 500,000 each to 400,000 each, I have not lost any money. Unless I say, hey, home that went from 500 to 400, here, Jen, I'll sell you the home. Now, when she buys it for 400, I have realized the loss. But while I'm holding it, I own 10 units. They're just worth a little bit less. I still own 10 units. They can go up. But if I sell the 10 units, I have now sold at a loss. Does it make sense to sell at a loss? Let me ask you, it's what I told the lady on the phone. I said, let's say you're in your home, it's 500,000, right? The market drives your home value down to 300,000. Are you gonna sell your house at 300? What are you gonna do? You're gonna wait. I'm just gonna stay in this until it comes back up. It's the same thing with the stocks, right? So if you make a decision to move out, if you make a decision to go more conservative, now what's gonna happen is you're selling those shares and going into something else, and we've already gone down.
Right.
If you said that 3 weeks ago, it might be a conversation, right? But now we've already gone down. You want to realize that loss, and then when it recovers, you're not in the right funds for it to recover. Right now, we're looking for recovery. We've missed a chance to be conservative, right? Because it came out of nowhere. So now the question is, where can I get the bounce? Well, it's going to be where you're at, because if the fund took you that low, then it can take you back up that high. But a fund that's not going as that low is also not going to go as high. You're still going to end up with a loss. What else?
So I know you have a lot of clients that you deal with as far as investments is concerned and life insurance. So our question to you would be, what's your follow-up process, like timeline, when you reach out to your clients and just keep them on track with what they are investing, making sure that they're confident in what they're putting their money into? Like, you have like a timeline, a set period where you follow up, or do you actually speak to them directly?
So I have a text where I send out to people. You can do it with your insurance clients or your investment clients, because I know personally, obviously, you don't have investment clients. So in general, you don't want people to think that you forgot about them. Now, for me personally, I don't follow up with my insurance clients as much. I follow up with my securities clients more, because with an insurance client, it's just a bill, right? With an investment client, there's a built-in follow-up, because things are changing all the time, right? That being said,
go ahead.
That being said, you should have a client list, right? You can go onto POL, you can go to active life insurance clients. It'll import it into an Excel or whatever database your phone uses or your computer uses. And I would create that database either in Sales Team Pro or on your own. And then I would send them a text every 3 months and say, hey, this is Donald. I just wanted to know I was thinking about you. I'm just checking in. Hope you're doing well. Let me know if you need anything. Ideally, what you're looking for is no response. That's ideal. What you don't want is, actually, I'm glad you called, and I was thinking about canceling this or doing this or that, right? No response is good. It's still good. Because they're logging, okay, he didn't just sell me something and forget about me. And then maybe they have a referral for you. Maybe they want to up it. Maybe they want to add something. Maybe they want to change. So usually with investments, they wanted to talk to me about something.
What does the message say again?
It says,
This is Shonda. Just checking in with you.
Yeah. Hey, this is Donald. Just wanted, I forgot.
I made some calls the other day. I made some calls the other day. So Bruce and Shaq both texted this. I'm sure Bruce talked about it on the conference call with you guys about how people are panic shopping for life insurance right now, and they're going online. So I don't know if you thought about it, but what's going to be your dialogue when you reach out to, I guess, follow-ups or clients to increase in the midst of this stuff going on? Maybe we haven't closed.
I didn't hear because I was reading this.
No, it's okay. The consumers, the article that Bruce and Shaq posted right now about the consumers panic shopping for life insurance in the midst of the coronavirus. I don't know if you thought about the dialogue yet, but how would you start off the conversation? What's the dialogue when you call to follow up? Maybe people you haven't closed yet, they weren't ready to move forward, or maybe for clients to increase?
So I always, this is a good question, because when I call people, I use like a group's, like a psychology of like everyone's doing it, and that's why I was compelled to call you type thing. So I would say, hey, Jen, I'm just following up with you. I've been getting so many phone calls for, I guess because some of the things that have been going on, people want to get their insurance in place. So I also have my own list of people that I'm following up with, and I thought it'd be a good time since I'm just getting flooded with phone calls right now. Hey Jen, I'm giving you a call, right? I wanted to follow up with you because I'm getting so many calls right now for people that want to implement policies. Maybe, I guess it's because the things that are going on right now, people want to get their coverage enforced. So I figured I'd follow up with you as well, because we had never had a chance to get that done. You know, and because that's something that we want to talk about now.
Okay, thanks.
But yeah, the follow-up is big in building relationships with people and stuff like that.
This is a general question on the recruiting side. As a prolific field trainer like that you are, when you recruit someone, seriously, building them, transitioning them to brand new spanking recruit to independent district leader field train, I mean, maybe not even field trainer, just independent producer. What are some things that you plant in their minds throughout the process? This is other than, excuse me, going on appointments with them, setting appointments with them.
The issue is not, you know, number one, people who I heard this from Keith Otto. He said, we don't teach people, they make the decision to learn, right? They make the decision to learn. And I know what Bruce says on the call, you got to duplicate and all that. And yes, of course, there's common sense things that you do, right? You want to make sure you're doing the same presentation. You want to give them ahead of time what we're going to be doing, and then afterwards give them your assessment of what happened. You want to force them to take notes during the meeting, right? Maybe you want to, like Tia's always done, get them to do a portion of the presentation and give them bite-sized pieces, right? Maybe go over. So yes, all of those common sense things, but show me the person, Josh, that's been on 20 appointments and then you're wondering why you didn't turn them into a field trainer. Sheilah's pretty good at what she does, because how many appointments do you think she's been on with me? So this is not, no one is going to turn someone who is not going in the field often enough into a field trainer. But the people who go, you know, even a guy like Baj, right? He's in the field right now and he's sitting with an old client. It's like, how is he able to do that? Number one, and he was doing that since 18 years old. He made the decision that he wanted to be independent. That wasn't something we told him. He's intelligent, so he can learn this stuff. And he has been on a good amount of appointments with actually all of us, right? So show me an example of that where someone has been that way and then they, you know what I mean? So this thing is about finding the right people, man. And if you're not running high numbers, good luck. You know, it's very selective recruiting doesn't work. Okay. And even if you are like Josh, you know, you can go out and you get 5, 6, 7 directs. That's great. You can do a transaction. Someone can give you the money and it all starts there. But when can it go from 5 to 20, right? So you can run, that's a high number, 5 directs, right? But the overall number is going to tell us whether you're running high numbers, right? Because 5, if someone just sees 5, that's not a high number. Even if someone sees 10, that's the starting point. Your plane can kind of take off, but you're not in orbit, right? When you get to 20, like Shondell, now you're bringing enough people to where once every few months, you'll find someone that can actually show that type of, those qualities, exhibit those qualities of someone who can be independent, you know?
So in regards to recruiting right now, because there's a big opportunity for us to get higher volume, if you were to call somebody and follow up on their IBA right now, in the midst of the high volume coming up because of the coronavirus, what would be your dialogue then? Because they don't want to miss out on the opportunity of money, right?
Mhm.
And they weren't ready for their IBA back then. Maybe they didn't see the consistency of
Yeah.
income coming in.
No, okay, this is a really good question too, because, there's two ways to motivate people, they say, the carrot or the stick, right? And the carrot is we can make money and you can run your own business, blah, 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 blah. The problem is not everybody has that personality type. So sometimes you got to motivate them with the stick, right? Tony Robbins says it a different way. He says people only make decisions for two reasons, pain or pleasure, right? To move away from pain or move towards pleasure. This is another personality thing. So let me tell you something. With travel being locked down right now, with everything being canceled, with no one flying, no one staying in hotels, no one going to games, no one going to sports, stadiums being empty, offices being empty, it's an almost impossibility for gross domestic product, which how we gauge the economy and the health of the economy, GDP, for that not to be negative. If it's negative 2 months in a row, 2 quarters in a row, it's a technical recession, right? So hey, Jen, just wanted to follow up with you, man. Obviously, you see all the crazy stuff that's going on, and a lot of people's positions could potentially be at risk in the future. We're probably going to go into a recession. Do you think it'd be a good time now to get that spare tire, get that extra income like we had spoken about before? Actually, our position has gone all virtual. So if you can't come to the office or you can't go to meetings or if you don't have time, to do those things, we can actually do everything over video conference just like we're doing right now. So is it better to potentially explore that when things are already bad, or do you think maybe it'd be good to prepare for that now? What else?
Another recruitment question I'm asking for my downline sake, because they struggle a little bit with recruiting in person. Do you have any pointers as far as gaining the confidence and just delivery?
This is a good question because I was very shaky when I first started. I was still to this day, I have anxiety, I get nervous. People can't tell, but it takes a lot of buildup mentally for me to do a lot of these things that we have to do in this business, and it's just doing it a lot. That's the only way. The only way to get good is by doing something a lot, right? So it's just like what I say in the orientation. Everyone's bad before they're good. Everybody's good before they're, great. But the way that you're going to be bad for the least amount of time is the amount of times you perform that act, right? So you can control getting good really fast if you're willing to do it a lot. So, do 2 interviews a day, and then in 2 months, tell me if you're still bad, right? If you don't have the confidence, if you don't have the posture, if you're not getting results, because we say what? You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. And it's impossible that you're doing interviews with 2 people a day, right? So the answer to a lot of things is going to be doing more activity, right? So, I might be able to get, 1 out of 2, and that's 50%. But if you can get 20 out of 100, your 20 beat my 1, because I only did 2 and you did 100. You're less efficient, you're less effective, but you're outworking me. Does that make sense? And then you can beat your ratios that way. What else? Casper, you're itching.
Go ahead. No, I just want to ask, with everything that's going on, being a good, financial advisor is talking to our client and calming them down. in this type of situation when the stock market is just going down and everything. So what kind of conversation are you having with your
I sent out
clients?
a text to every single client I had yesterday, and I'll read it to you. Actually, it was an email for people I didn't have their email. Hey, Mike, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to reach out because it was important for you, because I felt it was important for you to hear from me during these crazy times. My honest opinion is that the media is creating a lot of hysteria regarding the virus. I hope everyone can stay healthy, and I feel badly for those who are affected, but as a whole, our economy is fundamentally strong. Unemployment is very low, wages are up, housing market is booming, refinances are booming, interest rates are low, and many other factors. This is very different from 2008 because the fundamentals back then were a lot worse and the market was completely inflated due to risky mortgages. I think the panic is creating a lot of selling, and as long-term investors, we have to be less emotional, but I understand watching the numbers go up and down like this can be disconcerting. We hope to see a full and fast recovery if one of the 9 companies working on a vaccine can successfully create one. Please reach out to me if you would like to speak further. I appreciate your business.
Can we get that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll get it in the drive.
So I can, one guy said, "You are amazing, Samir. Your email came in a timely manner. I thought I was the only one thinking similar lines like in your email, but after seeing your email, I am more confident. We'll reach out to you soon."
That's great.
Let's see what else. Hello, Samir. Thanks for reaching out. We are sitting tight here with no fears or panic. We are in it for the long term and perhaps looking to take advantage of the opportunity in the next couple of months to invest. We'll be in touch. Thanks, Samir. I'm good. I'm mostly happy I skimmed off so much Trump money while the market was hot. If this turns out to be his downfall, you won't see me crying.
Oh, man.
Samir, thank you for your note. While it is disconcerting, I have faith as a long-term investor that there will be a light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you for staying on top of our portfolio.
That's great.
Hi, Samir. Thanks for the email, and I was thinking of reaching out to you soon. I hope our investments are still okay and not badly hit. Also, some of our friends are reacting to where the market is right now and are pushing us to invest now while it's low. What's your take on this? Should we also move our investments to where you think it'll be better for us in the long run, or should we stay where we are and let the market correct itself? Obviously, I responded to that.
Did you call them or you email them?
These are all emails. Thank you, Samir. It has made me a little nervous, but I'm in it for the long run.
The person that asked you your advice, did you just email them back or you called them?
I emailed them back. Laughing my ass off. I don't even dare look. This guy has 700,000. Okay. Laughing my ass off. I don't even dare look. Just figure we're going to ride out the storm. Stupid Trump. Tell Maurice I'm still. Yeah. Thanks for reaching out. It's good to know that you are watching our back. I was wondering if we should buy some stocks that have taken a tumble. What do you think? Okay. And a lot of people did ask me that, and I say that's outside of the scope of my firm, and I'm not legally allowed to advise you. So I'm not saying that there aren't good deals out there. I want to say that because I don't want them to think I held them back. There are really good deals. Like if you look at the market today, it's up, and some of these cruise lines are up 25, 30, 40%. If you invested 100 grand yesterday, imagine how much money you're making today. Primerica was up 9%, now it's up 6%. I mean, these numbers are unprecedented, so yeah, there's a lot of opportunity out there, but we are not allowed to legally advise them on that.
Yeah.
What else?
So I've had a couple clients actually ask me if they should invest more money now that the market's like going down and stuff. And so I told them that because the market is down, it may be good to consider. But I would assure them, like, legally say, hey, go buy right now while the market is
Yeah, no, if it's within the scope of what you do, you know, with American funds or whatever other product you're putting them in, this is a great time to buy because we are 30% off the high, right? And if we're selling them that it's going to recover, how can we not sell them on getting in when it's low, right? If it was an unknown whether it's going to recover, then yeah, you don't know if you want to put money in. But if I'm selling to them that, hey, this is going to be a full recovery of your assets, why wouldn't we take advantage and put money in right now? Therese?
Same thought.
Yeah. Any questions your clients have? I know you've been actively out there training people, getting a lot of business.
Yeah, their minds on 401k, should they keep it there? It's kind of the same things we were talking about, but that specific kind of question. You know, should I leave it there? And, you know.
Yeah, one of the funny analogies, you guys have heard it before. When people start saying things, I just say this. I say, when is the best time to get off the roller coaster?
Yeah, right, of course.
Right, so let's just get through it. The lady that I was talking to on the phone, she goes, so you don't recommend any changes? And I said, I don't recommend changes right now. I said, let me tell you something, ma'am. My money's invested exactly where your money is. My money's invested exactly where your money is. So if you've lost money or your money, I don't like to say the word loss, right? If your money has gone down, my money has gone down. Okay, whatever you're experiencing, I don't have, Mrs. Client, some special account where mine didn't go down, but only yours did. And she kind of laughed and she goes, yeah, I can imagine, right? Now I said something that everybody can say. I said, my money's down 150,000, okay, in just the last week. But not everybody can say that. But I can say, hey, look, you know, I don't have a special account where your money is, my mom's money is, right? And that should be for all of us in here, right? Where your money is, my mom's money is, whatever you're going through, we're going through, I'm watching it. I don't recommend a change right now, but I can promise you, as soon as you call me, I'll either pick up my phone, I'll call you back. I'm here to talk to you about it. I always end my conversations like that. That's what the other companies aren't doing. You have to reinforce, I'm not hiding, I'm here, I'm willing to talk to you about it. So although there's no change recommended, you know, we're still here to guide them. And the more and more I get into investments, and I don't want to turn this into an investment training, glad you guys aren't licensed, but it is a nice little preview of what it's going to be like for you when you have the license and when you have a book of business. But this investments, there's really nothing to do. You're just a counselor, right? And you hear people, you know, kind of give their grievances about the market or their political views, and you just stay calm and you just listen, and you don't agree or disagree, and you kind of interject yourself, and then they feel better at the end. Many of these conversations where me just listening to them and hearing their opinions, you hear the different opinions that people have, not, you know, just saying, okay, I'm here. And they just want to know that you're here. What else? I'm texting shit. You know, we're going into the third month of the year, and you guys have to start to, at some point, set a standard for yourself of what you are going to expect, you know, from yourself as far as numbers. It doesn't matter where your competence level is. This is a mental thing, right? If we're going into March, you might be thinking that you've changed this year. You might be thinking that you want it more, but if things haven't changed, right, it's because you still haven't changed. There's no way around it. You are going to have to overcome your fears. You're going to have to go see a lot of people. You're going to have to talk to a lot of people. You're going to have to learn how to get on the phone. You're going to have to learn the products. You have to get these licenses. Act on it, man. Act on it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people right now, they're looking at this as, if you work for a big corporation, I know the mindset of all my clients is just time off, right? Whatever, at least I get to stay home now, right? And the company can't expect much out of me right now, and it's free time for them. For other people who are in the service industry, they're nervous, they're losing money, right? This is a time for you to sharpen your sword and get good at this thing and go put in a bunch of activity and go create a huge mess. What that means is just go talk to as many people as possible, massive action, and then potentially reap the rewards now and then when things get better, right? Bruce said on the call this morning is the same thing. When you look back, these are times we're never going to forget. You know, like when we show that chart and the 30% drop in 2008, we are now witnessing it. 5 years from now, we'll be talking about this. How are you going to think to yourself how you responded? Well, when you look in the mirror, it's like, what did I do during that time? You know, was I like everyone else and I just kind of vegged out until everything went back to normal? Or did you take the appropriate measures to grow and really press? People are going to be home now. They're going to be in front of their computers now. Let's get out in front of them, man. Start to have minimum activity goals, right? A minimum, absolute minimum. There's no way a week is going to go by and I'm not going to do 10 interviews. I don't care who it is. I'm going to do 10 Zoom interviews. I'm going to do 3 to 5 KTs minimum. And no matter what, I am going to do 5 by 5. And even if it's not 5,000 in premium, 5 by 5 sales. Guys, these are 5 by 5 is part-time numbers. Those are part-time numbers. Anybody can do 5 by 5. You got to start telling yourself that. You have to expect that out of yourself. It's March, man. This month goes by, right? The first quarter's gone. It's going to be this, and I'm talking to myself too, right? I'm looking at my numbers, right? Why didn't I get this many directs? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Why is my income not where I want it? I have to reassess everything. So this is, all of us are doing this, you know? So anything else I can do for you guys before we get out of here? Anything with life insurance, recruiting, securities? Whose team are you on? Yeah? Where do you work right now? Like part-time, are you part-time here?
Yeah, part-time here.
Yeah, so where do you work full-time?
Full-time I work out at Lockheed Martin.
Okay.
And, Manassas.
Okay. What do you do for Lockheed?
IT.
IT? Okay. Are you licensed with us?
Not yet, I'm working on that.
Okay, good.
I gotta finish up my training course.
All right. So have you started talking to people about Primerica, or have you gotten any feedback? I mean, what's your experience so far?
So I've talked to quite a few people. I'm still kind of skeptical about it because I'm still like learning some of this stuff. So
yeah, let's talk about your skepticism, right? A little bit of skepticism is healthy. What type of things are you skeptical about?
Just knowing the product and being able to present it to somebody. So like,
well, that's a lack of skill issue which you can gain, but where does your skepticism come from? Skepticism is like, I'm suspicious about something. I'm not sure if something is necessarily accurate that we're saying the way you're interpreting it. So where is the skepticism?
So the skepticism was more like on the side of it being like, everybody says a pyramid.
Yeah.
Thing. So listening to a couple of the different training courses and talking to Shaq, you know, one-on-one, he's kind of broke down a lot of those things, but you can see how it kind of can align with that, but it's not, you know. So that's my skepticism, but it's just breaking it down for me personally. So the more that I hear, the more things that people tell me about it, I can, you know, assess it myself and see that it's not a problem. So I just have to just kind of go through it, and I'm just working through things, figuring it out. But speaking to people, I have no problem doing that, telling them about the product, things like that. It's just getting it under my skin, basically. Just making sure that I'm good.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I mean, the most important thing is you have to convince yourself before you can technically convince other people. You know, you got to be very motivated and you got to be, you know, super into it. Not before you approach anybody, before you really run those high numbers. You have to be very confident. But let me tell you something, man. Where do you think people see the whole pyramid thing? Where do they get that from?
I don't really know, but it's more so just like they get like people that come to them and they want to sell a product to them, and it's like I think they all come with the same approach. approach, like, do you have any spare time? Do you have any free time? You know, everybody approaches you like that.
So that language is very similar to
Very
other
similar.
companies and
So
stuff
it's
like
like, in my mind, I'm like, switch that up. Like,
Where'd you go to college?
I didn't know.
Okay, but what do you do for Lockheed?
So basically, I'm just their help desk type stuff, and that's kind of what I've done for a long time. It's just admin type work, you know, those kind of things. But just kind of tired of just getting stuck in the same rut. Got certs, got all that kind of stuff, but it's just same old rudimentary type stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I do want to tell you guys I'm pretty excited about something. I don't know why, but there's a few guys that are responsible. They're on a field advisory board with Primerica, and like meaning they talk to Glenn and Peter and the head of the company, and I talked to them about how I want to clean up Google because these are very good friends of mine, right? And I said, Google has to be clean. Our search has to come out clean, right? And they really took it to heart. They in the next field advisory meeting, they said, us in the field advisory group, this is our #1 priority. The company actually said, okay, what would you like us to do? Then they came back to me, they said, hey, they're gonna listen to us, what do we do? And I said, all right, let me make some calls. So I've been calling, it's been a little time consuming, but I've been calling reputation management firms and PR firms. And it looks like we are in touch with, I've had multiple meetings with CEOs of very large corporations that help other very large corporations. And I've had Zoom meetings with them, I've had phone calls with them, I've had conference calls with them, and it will soon be presented to Primerica as well. Basically what they're telling me is that within 3 to 6 months on our first page of search, right? You know how you can go 1, 2, 3, right? When you search, most people are done after whatever they see on that first page, okay? So what we are going to do is within 3 to 6 months, that first page will be more attractive than what it is right now. In 18 months, 90% positive on the first page, okay? That is going to be a game changer for our company, our careers, our ratios, our retention rate, because no one has heard of Primerica. The reason why they get that is because they put it in and then Google leads them to that. That's the kind of the sentiment online. Our goal is to change the sentiment by creating new content, getting our leaders published in journals and magazines and blogs and influencers. So and because we have an army of over 100,000 people, if we are clicking on the right things, the way the algorithm works is whatever content is getting clicked on the most, that's what moves up. Does that make sense? And so this is going to be a different company, man. We're not going to hear that stuff because people see the things online, but when they're smart like you and they say, you know what, I want to actually check it out. I don't care what I see online or what people say. You're kind of like, why does everybody think this, right? But it's because they got it online. So now if they don't see it online, then they come in and they see what we have going on. And the skepticism is always going to be a healthy amount of skepticism no matter what you pursue, but it's not going to be as, negative as it is right now and just knock people out that quickly, right? So is it going to help you build a business if you're not prospecting or not talking to anyone? No, it's never going to solve that problem. But this opportunity is about to be like, you won't even recognize this company in 18 months. The kind of customer service database we're going to have, we're going to start marketing ourselves. We're going to have a very positive online presence. Again, as you know, a lot of the things that we're doing is going virtual. I don't even know I can't even imagine what it's going to be like when we clean all that stuff up.
So for the people that are transitioning into being full-time in their minds, right? Either they've quit their job or they want to quit their job. What's your conversation with them? And also about securities license, what's your standard for somebody being securities license?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the rule that Shaq had for me, because the RVP that we were under, he had a rule that you couldn't go division without a securities license, okay? So, Thomas, you remember. So I had to get my securities license as a district. Now we have people going all the way to regional because we've been advised to not hold people back because some people have a hard time with the test, that's fine, right? But if you want to be full-time and you haven't exemplified that you can make money without the securities license, then, it's probably in your best interest to get that as soon as possible. One of the things that someone told me in Primerica, they said, you're trying to fight a fight with one hand tied behind your back, right? Now look, Sheila she made 50 grand without a securities license. So you can make good money, you can make full-time money without a securities license, but you do want to start that process and be super motivated to get that done quickly, okay? Now, what's the other conversation that I have? That there's no business hours, right? When you go to a store, you don't say, hey, are you full-time? It doesn't matter, right? That guy is going, or girl or woman or man or whatever, you do what you need to do to get the jobs done, to get the numbers in, to get the money in. This is not 9 to 5. So that's the main thing, is that you have to get away from the 9 to 5 mindset. This is a whatever it takes mindset. You're always open for business. And now we're going to start some accountability. We may not have had it before, but now we're going to, right? Because my job is to make sure that you survive, that you're prospering during this time. So I can't be as hands off. If you're part-time and you're just here for fun and you're here to make a little bit of extra money and meet some people and get your licenses, that's cool. But if you're going to be one of my full-timers, now you're going to get into the accountability circle, and it's not going to be, hey, good job. It's going to be, hey, what can we do next? What can we do next? I'm going to be more of a coach to you than just someone who's like exactly. It's a great word, right? Just kind of encouraging you on. So that they have to expect that type of accountability. And I know that you're very good at the accountability stuff as it is,
So I do have another question. So when you were talking about the online, which is, I'm actually happy that, to hear the news. This week I was in Silver Spring and I was prospecting, and this guy I was talking to, which I put on Telegram, he was saying that some other people, I'm not sure from Primerica, because I guess the person never told him the name of the company, was telling them that all we do is, give him false information. So all we did was like a license, like life license, or all we do is recruiting. Basically, we got into this whole thing where he doesn't want to do that because he thought that's not what we were doing. And so after that, he was saying that more people in person, not only in person, was telling him that Primerica was a bad company because only, the top people were making all the money, and it's a pyramid scam, right? So what can we do to fix that? Because I did explain to him more information about what we did, which made him calm down a little bit about it. But he still was interested in it. But what can we do to those where other people have approached them already and gave them false information?
Let me ask you, when Jen recruited, and this is the last thing and then we're done, right? So when Jen recruited you, were you skeptical? I think it took her a while to recruit you, right?
Yeah, so it took me a while.
First answer my question.
Okay.
Were you skeptical?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Did you hear or read some of those things?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're here.
Yeah.
Okay. So my thing, when someone says that to me, I would say, oh, no. I thought the exact same things.
Mm-hmm.
And I read those exact same things and I did my research, and it's actually not that way at all. Those are just a bunch of haters.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be wasting my time in an opportunity where I make no money and the people above me are the only ones making money.
Mm-hmm.
Do I look dumb to you? I'm choosing to do this. By the way, we're a publicly traded company in the New York Stock Exchange. This number down here means that it's our market cap. That means the value of our company. We're a $5 billion company. And my licenses come from the state of Virginia, or the DC, or the state of Maryland, and the federal government. We're highly regulated. So I heard all those things too, but I figured a company this size couldn't be that bad. And when I did my research, I actually found out everything was wrong, right? That's how I would overcome it. Because you have to use your own story. Once they think you're someone that's getting taken advantage of, and you have no idea what's going on, and you drank the Kool-Aid and you've been brainwashed, that's what they really think, right?
Yeah.
But it's very disarming when you say, I actually thought the exact same things. I've heard the same things, but I did my research. That's it. Okay? All right, guys, see you tomorrow. Team on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, whoever rode with me, -1, somebody has to take the train back. You good? Okay, so Keenan, we're round trip. We're round trip. So send me,
I didn't have my number